What I'd like to talk about is one of the most compelling ways to send your message out into the world, and that's by using video. Now, we take an interesting approach to video, which allows you to not only communicate what it is that you offer on the screen, but also to generate a tremendous amount of content for your website and other channels so that you can place well in search. So let me explain how it works. What we do is we ask you to come to a location shoot, kind of like this one, and what we aim to do is make you really, really comfortable, sit you down either in front of the camera, a couple typically, or in front of an interviewer, somebody like me or one of my colleagues. And then what we've done already is prepared a list of questions to fire at you, questions that you're very, very familiar with. These are the kinds of questions that most people ask. We've done our research on all the questions that are most appropriate, and then what we've done is we've actually structured them around search terms. We make a list of, say, 50 questions. In some cases, it's 100 questions, depending on how much you'd like to talk about it and how many different offerings you have and how many different avatars you're trying to appeal to. And then what we do is, after we've identified all the questions and agreed to the question list that will be asked, we sit down and we go through the process of asking the questions. Now, whether you're on screen on your own or whether one of us is on screen with you, we go through the questions one by one and give you an opportunity to answer. Now, the on your own approach, how that works is I ask the questions in the background. I'm not on camera, but you are. This gives you an opportunity to answer the questions directly at me as if I'm your patient. And that works very effectively for people because without that, it's very difficult for most people to stand in front of a camera like this one and basically just talk. So to do it that way is really, really attractive to people, and it gets rid of a lot of the jitters. If you happen to have a little less ability and less confidence in front of a camera, then what often works best is to have two people sitting in front of the camera, like an interview style. Imagine like BBC, Hard Talk or something like that. Don't worry, it won't be hard talk, it'll be soft talk. And so what we do there is I simply just ask you questions, or my colleagues ask you questions, and you answer me on camera. And that works very effectively as well, because it really has the opportunity, while we're both on camera, for me to ask you follow-up questions and really guide you through the process of answering the questions that your patient avatars most want to hear. So what do they want to hear? Well, for every question that I ask, I always put it into basically three parts. Number one is, let's talk about this particular treatment. Let's call it a rhinoplasty, for lack of a better idea. So let's talk about a rhinoplasty. So doctor, tell me about what experiences people have and how do they feel before a rhinoplasty? And then I ask you that question and you answer it. Now you might give me say a 3-minute answer, 4-minute answer, 5-minute answer. That's a great little chunk of content that we can use for later, and I'll explain how we use it. Then I ask you, okay, now give me a 2-minute summary of how a rhinoplasty works. And really, that's all I need. I just want 2 minutes of how a rhinoplasty works. You go through that process at a very superficial level. Don't get too deep, don't get graphic, but just simply explain how it is that thing works. Then thirdly, I ask you, okay, now tell me about the experiences that people have after rhinoplasty. How do they feel? What do they have? What's their daily life like? What is their status? How does it change their life? And with that, you can tell me all about the experiences that you can relate from existing patients about what they've told you about what they love about what you do and why they choose to go with you in the first place. So in a way, what you're doing is you're selling your services without necessarily selling what it is that you do, but rather why you do it, how you get people from there before and how you get them to there after. Okay, so that's a one video example, and let's say it's 4 minutes here, 2 minutes here, another 4 minutes here. That's 3 pieces of content right there. Now, if we do that for a whole day, you could end up with, say, potentially 100 pieces of content, 200 pieces of content, 300 pieces of content. It all really depends on how long you talk and how in depth you go. Once we have all that content, then we go away after the filming day and cut all that up into little bits. Remove all the ums and the ahs and make sure that you look and sound as good as you possibly can, really confident, and really, really attractive to the patient, somebody who they can trust and somebody who appears credible, has a plan, and can act as their guide to take them to where they want to go. And here's the magic. We take all of this content from video, we transcribe all of it, then we turn those little pieces of content into blog posts. Not only do we put all this content onto your YouTube channel, but then we take all of that content that's been transcribed and put it on your blog. Now, why is this good? Well, most websites will have 20 to 25 pages of evergreen content. That's pretty sufficient for Google to notice that your website is important and has enough content to be able to answer most questions. Now, if you don't have 20 to 25 pages of content, that's something else we have to talk about, but let's assume you do. That's what we call evergreen content. That's content that rarely changes. And it's content that most people want to see because it's the basics. Now, this is content that needs to be released on a drip feed process. What you do is you write up all the blog posts in advance and schedule them to appear, say, twice a week, 3 times a week if you're really aggressive. It all depends on how aggressive you want to be in terms of your content volume and how frequently you want to publish, or potentially how much content you have and how willing you are to do more video shoots over time. Finally, once those pieces of content are published as blog posts, we ensure that the video is on that blog post, and we know that conversion rates increase dramatically when patients not only see text but also video, and we also have the opportunity then to feed Google with content that you've already prepared within a day. If you had to write all that content, it would take you weeks. And you'd go through editing, and you'd go through rewrites, and chances are you probably wouldn't even get to it because blank pages are scary. So what we do is we take all of that content, we edit it all, we make sure the search terms are in there, we couple it with the video, and publish the blog post without you having to lift a finger. Then what we do, and this is even more magical, we take those blog posts and we distribute it across all your social media. So if you attract a lot of boomers or Generation Xers, we'll put it all over your Facebook page. We can turn some of that snippets of content into ads. We can also put it onto Twitter if your market resides on Twitter. We can also put it onto Instagram in small 60-second chunks if your market resides on Instagram. We also, of course, have it very, very well represented on the world's second largest search engine, which is YouTube. So now you've got a full, extensive YouTube channel, a website after a year with lots and lots of content that tells Google that you're there and that you matter, and social media channels that are populated with lots of good, engaging content. And here's the most important thing. It's all stuff that your patients really, really want to know about because you've been guided by somebody who knows exactly what they want and has led you to the process of creating lots and lots of content, potentially a year's worth, in the span of about 7 days. So it's a really, really great idea, and you don't have to do it with me, you don't have to do it with Lipsy Solar, you can do it with anybody that you choose to work with, whether it's a video production company that you hire on your own, say perhaps a content company that might help you write the content and edit it, and maybe it's an SEO company that might help you structure the keywords in order to make that content be found by Google. You can work with all of these different vendors, or you can work with somebody like us who can do the whole thing for you in one go. It's up to you. But anyway, I hope that you found that idea useful, and I hope that you get to work at creating a year's worth of content, potentially within a week.